What's up? What's up? So, this week I want to get into how being self critical actually leads you to more self love because you're bringing your attention to all the areas where you're withholding love from yourself, where you're just asking for more encouragement, more compassion, and just more love as a whole. Then I got some questions that I'm going to cover about overgiving in relationships and taking a more gradual approach in dating to keep the spark alive. When it comes to being self critical, you want to notice when you shift from inspiration to comparison, because everything that you ever want, you're inspired by it. Whether you see somebody carry themselves a certain way, you're inspired by how confident they are. Or maybe you consider them to be authentic or charismatic. And these are qualities you already have within you. You're just now inspired to express that more, to be more of that version of you. Even with physical things, right? You may be inspired to get a nice car and be inspired to have a nice house or a mansion. And what it is, it's you're inspired to experience what life would be like having that in your life. Because it's not so much just having it, but it's also who would you be if you were to live in a house like that? Who would you be if you were to have a car like that? Or be more confident and be more authentic or charismatic? Who would you be if you were to embody certain qualities? How would life be? That's what you're inspired by. And you can feel how that feels in your body when you're like, ooh, I like that. I wonder what that would be like. I oh, I want a car like that. Ooh, I want a house like that. You can feel the excitement behind it. But when it starts to shift towards comparison, that feels drastically different. Your body gets more tense. You start to get in your head a lot more. You actually start to stress about something you were just excited about. And also, there's a feeling of like this thing now holds, all the keys to the doors you felt trapped behind. This is the thing that holds the answers. This is the thing that will set me free. This is the thing that'll change my life. Right? Having X amount of money, having the car, having the relationship, the house, that's the thing that'll just make my life everything I've been wanting it to be. That's my dream life. And then the question comes up of why don't I have it yet? Why don't I have that? What do I need to do? And the intention behind it is, going to problem solving mode, right? Trying to fix it, trying to figure out how you can get there. Those are the intentions, right? It sounds like you're wanting to make progress, but what you're doing with the questions that you're asking, and it's good to be aware of the intentions, but also be aware of what you're saying because what you what you're doing when you ask the question of why don't I have it yet is your mind is now looking for the evidence of that, is looking for the answer, and it doesn't discriminate. It's going to find the answer everywhere, all around you, within you, every single thing that is related or possibly related to that question, it will find it. Your mind is constantly playing Where's Waldo? And it will find the answers every single time. Your mind is a master of finding Waldo. So you want to see that anytime the self criticism comes up, right? Or judgment starts to come up, second guessing, you start to doubt yourself, especially when it comes to the areas where you're asking why you don't have it yet. It's not so much that that's why. What you're seeing is your belief. You're seeing that you believe those are the reasons why, right? Because it's now there's layers to it. And ultimately, just getting straight to the core of it, you're bringing attention to the area that is not so much blocking it, but is asking for the encouragement for it's bringing attention to where you're withholding love from yourself that would allow you to get to it. So you get to see it is, but it isn't, right? It is the thing that's blocking it, the thing that's in the way of it. But deeper than that, it's showing you the condition that you have of loving yourself. Because if you were to love yourself, no holds barred, or if you look at any of like people that you may admire, right? People that are, I don't know, famous or somebody that you're inspired by, the qualities that you notice about that person, they're almost uninhibited. They seem free, right? It's almost like they could do no wrong. They kind of figured it out. It feels like they have the answers to life in a way. And what it is, it's you feeling the resonance, you feeling the inspiration to love yourself in the area where you see them being free in. Because you know you're capable of doing anything and everything, right? There's nothing you cannot do. So that's why the question comes up of why don't I have that yet? And it's, you're not asking why can't I? You're asking why don't I have it yet? And the mind is giving you the answer. It's because this is withholding your expression. This is with, and if you withhold your expression, if you withhold love from yourself, if you're conditional with loving yourself based on whatever you think the reasons are, right? And let's say, for example, um, let's say I don't have, thinking I don't have a house or I don't have a partner, I don't have more money because, I am not smart, or I don't do this, or I look a certain way, or I act this way, or whatever the things are, or I need to make more money, whatever the reasons are, again, where the self critical points come into play, though that specific list is the exact areas that you use as reasons or excuses. I like to use the word excuses to withhold love from yourself. Because when you see it as an excuse, then it's like, oh, well, I could always just change that. Reason feels the same way, but I feel for some reason that reasons hold more weight as far as validity. It seems more um, negotiable. Yeah, it feels like you can entertain the idea of keeping a reason to not love yourself if there's a reason behind it. But if you see it, it's like, oh, I'm using this as my excuse to not love myself. It's like, oh, well, if I'm using this as my excuse, I could always just change that and do something else. You could do the same thing with reason, but I don't know. There's power in words. So once you see that, and it's like, okay, cool. Now, the very thing that I didn't want to look at, the very thing I didn't want to feel or acknowledge, is actually showing me how I've been wanting to show up for myself, how I've been wanting to feel free, how I've been wanting to just feel more love. Because if you were to imagine yourself, right, with it going down the path of inspiration, something you were excited by, right? You were almost like playing imagination. It's like, wow, life would be so much fun and so amazing in this mansion, in this car. You're not really tied to when or where. You're just excited by the idea of experiencing that. When that shifts towards the comparison, then it goes towards, almost like immediate punishment of like, what did I do? What did you do wrong? Right? It's almost like you're asking yourself the question, what did you do wrong? I must have done this. I, you know, those habits, it's almost like you asking yourself, hey, if that just stops for a little bit and we just do something else. Do something else, meaning when you catch yourself doing that, when you catch yourself being critical, how would it feel to love that part of you? How would it feel to approach yourself with more compassion? How would it feel to be on the same team as you and remember that it's you? How would it be? How would it feel to go back to the feeling that everything is okay, that you possibly cannot mess this up, that no matter what you do, you're still going to love yourself. And you can feel, even with that last one, no matter what you do, you can still love yourself. If there's the fear of like, yeah, but if it doesn't happen, I don't know. That's the exact belief that's showing you that the love that you have for yourself is conditional. And you're willing to entertain that idea to not love yourself for not having a thing or not having a person or a relationship. And then the belief that supports that belief is like, yeah, but then life is not going to be how I want it to be. Okay, now you're using that as your reason, as your excuse to convince yourself to not love yourself. And you see, like, no matter what, it keeps circling back to you not loving you. I don't feel worthy of my love unless I have the house, unless I have the relationship, unless I have the money, unless I have the car. And life will always bring you right back to that point where you're withholding love from yourself. Because if somebody outside of you takes love, like if you love somebody, right, you're in a relationship with them, you love that person, they love you, and let's say the relationship ends, you go your separate ways. It may suck, right? Feeling like that person is taking their love with them. And you get to realize that's not really what's happening. What you were doing is using that person, and I don't mean using that person, but you'll get what I mean. Using that person as your excuse to be the love that you already are, to express way more love than you typically would. And then now with them leaving, it's like, well, I don't have a reason to do that anymore. I feel that absence of doing that. And it gets you to feel what that person took their love. And even though that person was loving you, right? And let's say somebody outside of you is loving you, they leave. It's like, okay, cool. But if you stop loving yourself, that person eventually, like at some point throughout the day, you're going to be with yourself, right? They come, they go. It's like, okay. But you feel that sting in the moment. You not loving yourself, you're with you every single moment of every single day. So you feel that sting time and time and time and time again. So that's why life will always show you when that's happening because you're with you. It's inevitable for you to feel that. The main thing is for you to love yourself no matter what. And then you just build off of that love. You're unlimited when you're just loving yourself nonstop. So that means that's how we all are as kids, right? We didn't see any faults with ourselves, and we didn't really need anything to love ourselves and love life. You could be in a waiting room in the doctor's office. You wouldn't want to be there, but you could be playing with your fingers, you know, like fighting and stuff. It's like, okay, like I'm gonna have fun regardless because I'm happy with myself, and you know, you're just being that. But then over time, when it shifts again from inspiration to comparison, then, you know, it goes a little more self critical and a lot more judgmental towards oneself. So try it out. Try going down the path of when you catch yourself being critical, when you catch yourself wondering why you don't have it yet, when you catch yourself comparing, notice and remember, oh, this is where I'm needing love? What does that look like in this moment? Because it may change. It's not going to be the same thing every single time. Sometimes it may just be encouragement. It's all good. I love you. Like however encouragement shows up. Other times it may just be compassion, right? I get it, right? Like you talking to yourself. I get it. I know it stings, but it doesn't change the fact that I love you. I love how you showed up, right? Like just trying to pay attention to what you need in the moment. And when you bring your attention more towards showing up for yourself more than anything, then the love is going to increase. And as your love increases within you, then you're going to see that you're going to be a match to certain things, right? That's when your frequency starts to raise, and just like a radio channel, you start to come across things that are a match to that. And then, you're following um, this breadcrumb, so to speak, of now you're drawn to speak to this person who may lead to an opportunity, who may lead to this job, or here and here and here. And then all of a sudden, the things that you want to start to happen. It's because now you've, through you're back in the field of inspiration, and you're now in the frequency of thinking like the person that has the car, being the person that has the house. And now you're living the life of the person that has those things, which is what you were inspired by in the first place. Which actually flows perfect to one of the questions I got about overgiving in relationships and how that's a little different than being a therapist for your partner. Like being a therapist for your partner, you're constantly trying to ask questions and show up in the way of like giving support in that way. When it comes to overgiving, you lose yourself completely, right? You start to identify the relationship with being the source of your love and happiness. And that could be a very dangerous thing because you no longer show up for yourself how you did before the relationship, and maybe even a little bit in the beginning of the relationship. And as you start to see the relationship as the reason for you feeling love, for you feeling happy, it may add to your happiness, but once you see it as the reason for it, then what happens is there's a fear of now that going away. And without realizing it, you start to sacrifice yourself little by little by little, right? And it's like you don't take care of yourself in the same way. And that could be either your routines, your self-care practices, right? You're able to kind of like put them aside a little more. It's like, "Oh, I usually do this in the morning, but when this person's here or they stay over, I don't do it. Right? I'd rather just stay in bed with them." And it's like, okay, that may be cool, but then what happens is you'll start to notice, after some time, you don't feel the same way as you did when you did those practices. And it could be like even in going to the gym or certain things, right? You start to see that yourself and the things that you enjoy doing, you're willing to compromise for the sake of the relationship. And the idea is you're wanting to show up as the perfect partner, right? You're wanting to be there for them. It seems like that's what you do in that relationship, right? You compromise. But the thing is, there are certain things you do compromise, but you don't compromise yourself. The more you sacrifice yourself, the more you start to lose yourself, and you're no longer the person that went into the relationship. And also, the balance gets thrown off because now there's no space for the person to give as much as you do because it's just giving and giving and giving and giving. The hobbies you once enjoyed doing, the things that you did for yourself, little by little, just don't exist. You actually become the relationship. That's how much you start to give of yourself rather than it being a nice flow, a nice yeah, nice give and take. Nice like, hey, and yeah, there are going to be times where the person can't show up as much as you, right? Where it might go. Now, I'm not saying percentages of like 50-50. Because, yeah, like I said, it might go 80-20, 90-10, depending on where the person's at. But the thing is, there's you have to stay up to speed with the relationship. And when you overgive, then that means you're giving so much that you're leaving yourself behind. So you're not even in the relationship. You're not even here. You're identifying as the relationship. And then now we'll get to close out with the question of taking a gradual approach when it comes to dating, where there's like the tactics people use when it comes to pacing. And that word tactics, I just want to bring your awareness to, because if you approach dating through strategy, you want to be aware of being disingenuous, because your genuine nature will always reveal itself. And that's what brings the most tension within relationships. And at times, the ending of relationships, because it's almost like, who the hell is this person? Where was this person at the beginning of the relationship? And that's what people do at times, right? They want a relationship so badly, they'll approach it with a strategy to get the relationship, get the person, be with the person. And then when they finally get them, there's like this threshold, this point where they're like, ah, okay, cool. Now I could like be myself. It's almost too late for them to leave. I'll just like be more of me little by little. And then all the way, I'm just going to be me. We're here. Fuck it. But it's like, most likely that's going to be the beginning of the end, because now you're somebody brand new. Yeah, we're not the same person. We're always going to be evolving. But a drastic change like that, it's like, damn, what the fuck is this? So that's something you want to be aware of. Is the way I like to see it is like, relationships are like music. So there's a certain pace, and the pace, you want to find a pace that works for you, your own genuine pace of how you like to be in relationships, how you like to show up in relationships. Because just like music, there's a pace and space between the instruments and the lyrics. And that's what makes the song. And you want to see it as how you like to show up, your authentic way of being, and the authentic way that this person shows up. Does it flow? And it's like, the instruments you bring and the lyrics you bring, do they complement the other person's instruments and lyrics? Do you guys make beautiful music together? Because that pacing, right? That genuine way of being, that's the song that you're creating. That's the music that you're creating. Is it music to your ears, or is it just noise? Is it just ah, or is there like a cadence, right? And then you start to, add other instruments. And so that's something you want to notice is, and the easiest way I like to put this, is this somebody that you would like to spend, like, being snowed in with no, I'd say no internet. I was gonna say no power, but it's like, damn, like at least have heat and electricity and water. So we'll do being snowed in with no internet, right? That means you can't be on your phone, right? The phone doesn't work. There's nothing to watch on TV. It's just you and this person in the house. You're warm, you have lights and water, but you're just chilling in the house with this person. Is it going to be like miserable? I'm bored with this person. What are we doing? This is awkward. Or is it going to be like, oh, this is like chilling with my best friend? So much fun. Other than being intimate, other than that, that's only going to last for so long. Let's say you're snowed in for a week. I don't even want to get into saying like like lockdown. That's a lot. But we'll say like a couple days, all right, a weekend. of being locked in with this person? Would that be beautiful music? Or would it be clashing instruments and clashing lyrics? That's something you just want to notice because it's again, it's not about just getting into the relationship. You want to think long game. You want to think you're already in there. Is it enjoyable? Does this have like, does this have songs you would add to your playlist and that you could enjoy on repeat? That's what you want to really notice when it comes to um, approaching relationships. Yeah. It's not about strategies, it's just being you. Whatever pace works for you, and there's somebody that matches that pace. So I feel like it's a good way to wrap this up. So I'm wishing you an amazing day. If it's nighttime by you, wishing you an amazing night. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Put down some comments. If you got questions, let them roll. We'll keep it flowing, and I'll add them to the episodes. And yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll catch you all later.